Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Swarms of the Multiverse, offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms. Plus, you get instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus material, such as 4 new demiplanes. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing one of our books using the links in the video description. Before we look at the new releases, let me share our exclusive discount for the week. Each Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we release a new discount that lasts for about a week. And this week is for the Fall of Cyrog, a Mind Flayer dungeon adventure that connects to the official Out of the Abyss adventure. And it takes a character named Cyrog, which is an elder brain mentioned in that adventure, but not really fleshed out, and ties it into that directly, which is really cool. So it says here, deep in the Underdark, an elder brain Cyrog has died and been reanimated by the demon prince of undeath, Orcus. Brave adventurers will be called upon to help vanquish this evil. Should they fail, Cyrog and all of his mind flayers will be able to create an army for Orcus to unleash destruction upon the Underdark and the world. So it's urgent. The adventurers need to get in there and help, and you get with this discount, it's normally $3.95. It's on sale right now as part of the Stranger Monster sale, but our discount's going to give you 50% off of the purchase price. So instead of $3.95, it'll be around $2. And it says here that you get this 14-page adventure plus the high-resolution ping files of the lair map, as well as 1-inch grid battle maps for 5 of the rooms, such as the dissection chamber and the transformation room. You also get a printer-friendly version, and it's around 4 to 6 hours of gameplay for a party of 4 to 6 characters, levels 9 to 12. So you can see some of the really cool artwork down here. I mean, this is the transformation chamber, so that could be really cool in terms of the map. And then you've got the dissection chamber down here as well. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see a little bit more of it. Love these little maps. I love how kind of narrow it is, so the players are going to have to kind of creep through that to get to experience whatever's hidden in here. But you got creepy tentacle parts and other things going on in this dissection chamber. So let's read a little bit about the dissection chamber. It says, when the party enters the room, read the following. The room contains desks on either side covered in brains and various organs. In front of a decapitated head of an unknown creature, 2 mind flayers are working at a desk with their backs turned away from the entrance to this room. The head has its skin pulled neatly back off the cranium, and parts of the bones surrounding the brain are sawed off. So yes, some dissection going on here, but pretty fun. Sounds like it could be a really cool Mind Flayer experience. You can see how cool this map goes with this image right here. I mean, it looks like they've got these chambers, and then here you are with these little chambers in the transformation chamber. So very cool stuff, and it's nice that it connects to an official adventure. Although you don't have to use it with that official adventure, it does connect. So if you want to carry on from Out of the Abyss, you can do that. You don't have to. But very cool, and Daniel Kahn's stuff is highly rated, so I'm sure this will be fun for you if you're looking for an adventure in that level range, or you're hoping to play Out of the Abyss and want to expand it a little bit. Whatever your reason, you should grab this while it's 50% off, because our discounts are usually higher than the sort of automated sales that happen on the sites. So you want to take advantage of those because they're limited time. Usually, a few days after this video premieres, the sale has ended. So you want to make sure you take advantage by following us at Splinterverse everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and get those discounts on Mondays. All right, our first new title is Bloodied and Bruised, Mythic Odysseys of Theros. So Anne Gregerson has been doing a series of books that connects to the published books from Wizards of the Coast and takes the monster stat blocks that are in those and adds the Bloodied condition, which was a feature of the 4th edition of the game. And Bloodied is basically when the character gets to a certain amount of hit points, whether it's 50% or whatever, then either some of their abilities change, like they recharge, or they get a new ability, or they get a death throw ability, which is something that happens when they die. So it kind of tweaks the monster, makes them perform in an unexpected way. Especially if you're using these monsters over and over, you can mix it up and have a different experience. Especially people that sometimes you have a player that's also a DM, and so when they DM, they need to look at these monsters, so they can't help but know some things, right? So mixing it up and having some of these bloodied actions show up can make it more of a challenge for some of these experienced players or players that also DM, and it just gives you other options. I mean, you could even use some of these effects on new creatures that you create. So I love having these books of all kinds of traits and actions that you can repurpose as well. So it's $245 for 18 pages. And looking inside, you can see that it covers all the creatures, either fully statted out in the Theros book or that are referenced in the book. So if you have that book, you only need this book to really combine and get those bloodied actions. So it's very helpful, whether it's the Hydras that are used there, or the Anvil Rots, or the Typhon, Woestrider, whatever it is, it's covered here. They got the Eidolons. So very, very cool. So this gives you some information on like what the concept is. If this is the first one in the series you've bought, this is the 5th edition and 5th volume in the series. But if you haven't purchased one before, you can read about how the abilities work up here. But scrolling down, you can start to see some of the sections alphabetized by creature. So you've got the Amphisbaena. When it's bloodied at 5 hit points, the Amphisbaena has the following features. So it gets a new ability called Slither. While bloodied, the Amphisbaena can move through spaces occupied by hostile creatures, but it must end its turn in an unoccupied space. So not all of the abilities are like damage dealing, right? Some of them are movement abilities that it all of a sudden has now. And then it's got a triggered ability here, so it's cornered. When first bloodied, the Amphisbaena can make a melee attack against a creature within range as a reaction. So it's like a reaction to becoming bloodied, basically a reaction to becoming half health. It's going to do something. So super, super helpful. And like I said, you could just replace which creature this goes with. So when any creature becomes 50 health, 50% of its hit points, you can have it make a melee attack if it makes one against a creature within range, right? So think beyond the creatures in this Theros book. I mean, it's great. It helps you with the Mythic Odysseys of Theros, but for $2.45, not only is it going to help you with that book, it's going to help you with other creatures that you create, or just give you other options that you can work with for creatures as well. So you've got even the Archons here, like they get their legendary actions change. So when first bloodied, the Archon regains all expended uses of its legendary actions. So that's super helpful. The reason these things are happening is the creatures realizing, maybe subconsciously or even consciously, hey, I'm on my way to death here. I'm a half health. I need a boost, and so some of these things kick in. So you could also kind of have these standing by, and you could write up a few generic versions of these. Maybe you thought you tuned your monster to be perfect for your party. It has the right CR, all this stuff, and then they're just making short work of it, right? So why not throw a couple extra bloodied actions in there on your homebrew monster or a monster from another book, and just kind of make sure that it becomes an actual thrilling encounter, and surprise them, because halfway through the fight they haven't seen this action, right? They halfway through taking it down, they haven't experienced these things, so then all of a sudden there's something new happening. It can re-engage them, especially if you tend to have long combat sessions. Keeping your players interested is important, so that could be one way to do it. So check it out. It's in the links below. Bloodied and Bruised 5 Mythic Odysseys of Theros. Give it a click. Next we have The Forsaken Traveler, Issue 2, Tombs, Crypts, and Ruins from additional D&D Speak. And it's $3 for 28 pages. And it says, welcome to the second issue. The purpose of this publication is to provide you with interesting and unforgettable content that will make your tabletop gaming experience the best it can possibly be. And it says, lying in the pages ahead are limitless world-building ideas and inspiration that abounds. So I hope you can find this publication useful. And it's got ruin generation tables, crypt generation tables, 100 items found in a crypt, and crypt dressings, sounds, graffiti tables. It says graveyard generation tables. So if you need to generate your own graveyard, you've got information on how to do that. It's got grave robber generation tables, multiple monster loot tables, and a lot more. So I think these kinds of things are always super helpful, because even if you love to homebrew everything, sometimes you just have writer's block, or you just can't think of like a descriptive word, etc. So having generators on standby is super helpful. And you can see like generating a crypt, the crypt dressing, sounds, traps, etc., cemeteries, graves, monsters, all sorts of stuff. So thankfully, in the 6 pages of the 28 available for the book, you get to read a little bit about it. So you got the ruin structure, why was it ruined, current inhabitants, how long ago was it ruined, and then the ruin condition. So let's just pretend we rolled a 1 on all of these and read through. So it's a small collection of huts that are ruined because of a disease or a plague, and currently there are groups of bandits or criminals living in them, and it was ruined before recorded history, because it's just ancient. These ruins are ancient, and the condition is that they're crumbling and decayed. So you see, we just had that whole description from using these tables, and just assuming a 1 on all the rolls, since we're not actually rolling as we record this, right? And that's just one example. There's a lot of examples you could build here. I mean, there's 20 options on just the inhabitants table alone. And it talks about creating a realistic tomb, generating a crypt. So let's do the same thing here with a crypt here. So the crypt has a metallic smell. The crypt entrance is beneath a massive monument. A famous architect is buried there. The crypt's interior walls are rough-hewn stone, and the ceiling is crossed by wooden beams. So see how naturally I just read that off? So you could do the same thing. You could just assume a roll of 2 across everything, 3, or you can roll. But assume you're in a hurry. You might have to do that. And then you can go further with crypt dressings. I mean, lots of fun stuff. I love books like this. I'm going to add it to my wish list, because I love having tables like this to work with and really just inspire me. I don't always use what I rolled on it, but it might lead me to another place for my imagination if it's stuck, to get unstuck. So check it out. It's in the links below under Forsaken Traveler. Give it a click. Next, we got Heroes and Villains, Interesting NPCs and How to Customize Them by E.R.F. Jordan, $12.95 for 60 pages. It says, behind the heroes of legend and history, there's always a litany of supporting characters, friends, family, rivals, mentors, and more, all contributing to the story in their own little way. For every knight that slays a dragon, an artisan must forge their blade, a stable hand must prepare their horse, and a squire must help them into their armor. The broader cast of a story is just as important as its crown characters. So, as an engine for storytelling, tabletop games aren't exempt from this rule. The players might supply the heroes of the story, but without non-player characters, there's no conflict to struggle against. An interesting cast of supporting characters provides depth and intrigue to a tabletop campaign. So, you've got ancestral traits representing the character's heritage. You've got magic items, which can give your NPCs exciting new challenges in combat or provide a sense of their origins. Layers and legends, which guide you in transforming your NPCs into powerful creatures with legendary actions and layers. And then story secrets, a purely narrative layer that provides a backstory and a long-term goal for your NPC. And then there's also 70 new stat blocks and templates for NPCs. So that alone is super, super helpful, right? Can never have enough of those. So looking inside, you can see how it's broken down. And the author deliberately used a lot of the names of the NPCs from like the monster manual, etc., so that you can use it in conjunction with those, or to expand upon those, or flesh those out more. Or as one can be identical to the monster manual, and then the one you create from this book can be like a friend of that one, or a rival, or whatever, right? So you have options here. Really cool. I love how there's all these different traits that you can add that are, related to the ancestries. So example, protective spines. Anyone grappling the creature takes 1d6 piercing damage at the start of each of its turns. So again, helpful to just pull from these and add to a character to make it distinct and different. And it talks about using magic items. You get to read half the book in this preview because it's 60 pages and there's 30 pages in here going into things like lair actions. So it says castle. The lair is an ancient stone castle. It's wide open halls and high battlements echoing with hundreds of years of joy and strife. Minions in the lair include knights, pages, nobles, and common soldiers. And then, of course, you have the lair actions, including doors and windows. The characters causes any number of doors and windows that can see in the lair to fly open or close and lock themselves, which that could be a really dramatic thing. And then you've got other things like hidden crossbows and oil traps, and then regional effects. No regional effects for this one, but there are some in here, like here, the Peering Oasis, etc. So these are great because they're not so tied to characters that you can't reuse them. Again, people get attached to what they read, and if this said, this is, Sam the Gnome's lair effects, it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't want to give those lair actions to somebody else. It's Sam the Gnome's identity. No, this is generic, so you can put it with whatever character you want, multiple characters, a faction, however you want to handle it. And this is a grab and go. You can just use it as needed. And then you've got story secrets that you can work with here. I like these a lot. So looking at extraplanar bargain, for example, the character made a bargain with an extraplanar being, such as a devil or a hag. In some cases, a deal is struck to solve a problem in the character's life, like a sick loved one or a shortage of gold. In others, the character is seeking power or answers to the mysteries of the arcane. No matter the particulars of the deal, the character is obliged to pay a tremendous cost in return, one they're still paying to this day. And it says a character with the secret might have one of the following goals, and then gives you a little table here. The first option is fulfill their debt by bringing an ancient artifact or cosmically important person to the bargainer. So, if they've got a debt, and that whoever they made the deal with, maybe it's a fiend, they say, well, bring me this ancient artifact and then we'll call it even. So you've got all these options here, and that was just one out of the 4 options. So there's a bunch of tables like this: time traveler, wanted outlaw. Then you've got the new stat blocks. You can see alchemist, master alchemist, so you're going from a challenge level 1 to a challenge level 8. So giving you some options. If you just stuck with the ones in the monster manual, you're not going to have 2 CRs for all these creature types. You're going to have just one. So that alone is going to make it super helpful. So I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this if you want some ways to plug and play with existing characters, with new characters that you create. If you want variations on what Monster Manual has going on, if you have any needs with NPCs, this seems like it's going to be a steal at its price of only $12.95. So check it out. It is in the links below under Heroes and Villains, and give it a click. Next we have Hondfolk, a homebrew canine race for 5th edition. And it's from Salem Wick and Crash Gym. Suggest a price of $1 for the 5 pages. It says, looking for a playable canine race with a ton of heart and exciting mechanics, the Hondfolk are a D&D lore-friendly dog race with 3 different sub-race options, racial feats, and information on how they fit into the Forgotten Realms. Dog-like in their nature and appearance, the Hondfolk are a merry but proud race who value friendship and trust above all else. They tend towards a nomadic lifestyle, traveling in groups of other Hondfolk before finding a forever home and parting ways with their pack. So looking inside, you get a lot of lore about the Hondfolk, which is helpful, and then you get names and pack names here. So they form packs like the Walking Trees and the Red Sands, etc. And then you get all their traits as well as their racial feats, etc. You get to see the whole book in the preview, so you can really get a good look before you purchase. So that's helpful. Let's look at a couple of their traits here. So they've got speed, of course, and that's their normal speed at 30 feet. And then scent sense. If nothing is muddying your ability to smell, you are aware of the location of any hidden or invisible creatures within 5 feet of you. So that makes sense. Dog has a powerful sniffer. It says love of the hunt. You gain proficiency in survival and athletics. And bite. You can use your bite to make unarmed strikes. And that's helpful. And then depending on your subrace, if you're a Groder or a 𝘽𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬, or Klein, you get different abilities. So we'll just read the Groder ones here. And they're descended from the leaders and explorers of the pack, and therefore generally shoulder more responsibilities. And they're boisterous and loud. It says bearing of a bully, you may choose to instead gain proficiency in intimidation rather than survival. You have advantage on grapple checks, along with counting as one size larger for the purpose of the grapple check. And made for journeys, advantage on saving throws against exhaustion. So very cool little extra features. And then you got the racial feats with something like puppy dog eyes and sniffer dog down here. And deadly bite. So with puppy dog eyes, you know how charming others see your floppy jowls or boopable snoot, and you use that to your benefit. Increase your charisma score by 1. You have advantage on all performance checks. When you use your naturally endearing physical qualities, you learn 1 cantrip of your choice from the Bard spell list. And then if an attack from a creature that can see or hear you would reduce you to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to make an opposed roll with that creature. So fun options in here, and it's all centered on this cool looking art for the Hondfolk here. So if you always wanted a dog race, or you just feel like the Realms needs a new race, this could be an option for you. It doesn't have to be the Realms. It could be used with other settings as well. I think it looks really cool with this artwork. There's some fun stuff in there. And, I mean, it's a pretty good price. I mean, suggested price of $1. So check it out in the links below under Hondfolk and give it a click. Next, we got Little Bag of Sand and Other Things from Christoph Langham, Emmy Lee Nagel, Megan Lippert, and Grimm Press, $9.99 for 55 pages. And it's got a lot of stuff in it, so it gives you 5 new ancestry options, including the Levannesling, a chameleon race that can blend in with their environment, and Otterfolk, an otter race that has 4 different styles and is great with tools. And then you've got 63 optional features, a total of 63 new optional class features, adding new options and customizations for every official class, along with the Blood Hunter. You get 2 new full classes, including the Witch and the Nocturne. The Nocturne's a space-themed martial support class. Then you get 5 dual feats that you can take twice, 9 new spells, and then some DM tools, including a new backstory generation method, new and alternate conditions, and then a FAQ, which has questions most asked during testing. You can see some of the really cool layout here, so it looks really easy to read and interact with, which is helpful. So looking at the preview, we get to see a little bit about the Zoshi race, and then you get a sample of the optional features for the Artificer, such as an animated weapon, and then even some more examples, and you get a barbarian features, optional features, examples, and bard. So there's quite a bit to unpack and look through here. So I'm not going to read all of it. I want you to come here and look through this on your own, because again, this is going to be a lot of options for you. I mean, 5 races, 63 optional features, 2 classes, and 5 feats plus 9 spells. I mean, that's a lot of things to impact your game. But let's take a look at the Zoshi. So Zoshi are axolotl-like amphibian creatures that have formed entire societies beneath the waves. They have the ability to regenerate at ridiculous speeds and use their long tails and disarming visage to defend themselves. So you have resistance to acid damage. You can breathe both air and water. Your external gills are mesmerizing to most. You can cast Charm Person once per long rest without expending a spell slot. And then you have Disarming Visage. Most creatures find you adorable and let their guard down around you. You have proficiency in the Deception skill. And then you have Salamander Regeneration once per long rest. As a bonus action on your turn, you can expend a hit die and roll it. If you do, you regain an amount of hit points equal to the number rolled plus your con modifier. And if you suffer a lingering injury, your injury naturally heals over 1d12 plus 2 days. That's good. And then tail, you can use your tail to make unarmed strikes. So really fun options. And that's just one race in here. There are 5 others, including those otters and a sand cat race, a rat-like race, chameleon race, etc. And then tons of optional features. The animated weapon looks like it could be really fun for the artificer. So I want you to click the link in the description, video description below, or the pinned comment for a little bag of sand and other things so that you can come here and read through some of these and see if they'll work for your game. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff for just $9.99, so I think it's a good deal. So check it out. Little bag of sand and other things. Give it a click. Next, we've got March of the Damned by Patrick Hoffman. Suggested price of $4.95. And it says, Edward stood over his dead lover's tomb and outstretched the heathen book that lay in his palms. With a practiced tongue he spoke the book's blasphemous rituals, hoping that this time he could bring his true love back to life. As he spoke, his words bore power, and from the shadows emerged a deathly figure. This figure skulked to Edward, who was now frozen in fear. It spoke. In exchange, your life for hers. Decide quickly, for you disturb my slumber. So, creepy deal going on here in this adventure. It's a horrifying one-shot set in a ruined temple that gets overrun with the living dead. Can your players survive endless hordes of undead as they scramble to solve the temple's mystery and save a nearby township? Accessible by all character levels, it's an ideal as a horror one-off, and it's approximately 4 to 6 hours to play it. So looking inside, you get to see right away an item, which is called the Book of the Dead, with some fun artwork. We'll come back and look at that. And then it gives you the adventure summary. And then you've got your background, running the adventure, the prologue, all that good stuff. So the prologue, let's read a little bit about that for you. It says, as you enter Barrowfall, you find the quaint village filled with busy logging crews and playing children. As you approach, you see villagers whispering and looking toward each other. It's not long before you see a crowd form and make their way over to you, smiling and waving at your arrival. The leader among them, a stern, well-built man, signals to you. Greetings, travelers, and welcome to Barrowfell. If you're interested, we might have a job for you. He holds in his hands a pouch full of gold. So that's how it kicks off, and then let's read about this Book of the Dead, because it looks pretty fun. It's a wondrous item, legendary, requires attunement. For every 6 hours spent reading this book, the attuned creature may gain one of the following bonuses. 1, they learn how to cast Animate Dead once per week. 2, they learn how to cast Speak with Dead as a ritual. 3, they may target an additional corpse with the Animate Dead spell, which is stackable. Or 4, they lose 1d6 strength and learn to cast Finger of Death once per week. It's cursed, so once the attuned creature has gained 3 bonuses, an Avatar of Death is summoned within 10 feet of them. The Avatar seeks to reclaim its book. If the Avatar is defeated, the creature learns how to cast Resurrection once per week. So that's fun. I like how it's got a curse that can actually be removed reasonably, and has a bonus to actually defeating the Avatar that shows up, and that there's this sort of haunted nature to it. So with some really cool looking artwork for the book too. And it'd be easy with the way this page is to just print this and, cut this page in half and hand this to the player and say, this is what your book looks like, because of the way they laid this out here. Very, very cool. And it looks like it could be a really fun adventure. And you can see the zombies trying to get in through this stained glass window here. So why not check it out? It's in the links below under March of the Damned. Give it a click. Next, we've got Miscellaneous Mini-games, a collection of mini-games including arm wrestling, archery, dragon chess, 3 dragon ante, and jousting from Tresaurus Press. Suggested price of $2 for 4 pages. It says, is the party back in town for a few days, looking for something lighthearted to do before the next adventure? Or maybe they want to get the measure of their foe without having to resort to combat. or perhaps you just like the recursive idea of running games inside your game of D&D. If so, then this tome provides rules and guidelines for adding 5 new mini-games to your table. So looking inside, you get to see 2 of those 4 pages. So it talks about, kind of some things to think about as you're incorporating everything from cheating to dealing with the roles and the narrative impact of this. And then it goes right into the game. So we've got arm wrestling here. It says begin by placing a counter or marker on the white start space. Rounds are played by rolling contested skill checks or saving throws. The winner of each pushes the counter 1 space towards their opponent's side. In the event of a tie, players roll again. The participant that is currently winning rolls the skill check for each step. The participant that is currently losing rolls the save at the bottom. The end spaces represent a hand hitting the table, and a winner is declared. It says intimidate. Once per game, a player may attempt to intimidate their opponent. The player makes an intimidation check with a DC equal to the opponent's wisdom score. If successful, the opponent makes their next roll at disadvantage. This has no effect on creatures that are immune to the frightened condition. So it's cool. You have this little thing where you can put the little marble or a little token or whatever to mark where you are, and you can see the arms sort of going back and forth here with this little graphic they've given you. So it's a fun way to implement arm wrestling with mechanics that already exist in the game. And then you've got tournament archery here where it's similarly going to be different points, etc., making ranged weapon attacks and figuring out the score, etc. So fun stuff. I mean, you can always use more mini games, especially if you have a session where somebody's going to be missing or they're running late. You can start in the tavern and have your players play some of these while they're waiting, right? Keeps them engaged, keeps them entertained, and then the other player shows up. You can say, "Oh, your game finishes at the tavern now. Now your journey can begin." So great time filler, and I think it adds some realness to the world because there's no reason to believe that the characters in these worlds wouldn't also play some sort of games, right? So check it out. It's under Miscellaneous Mini-games in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Order of Grey Dust by Elven Tower, $1.45 for 20 pages. And it says, in Order of Grey Dust, a military man who encountered a crushing defeat in the Great War grieves the loss of his home and all of his friends. Corrupted by sorrow and regrets, he wandered the land looking for a new purpose. He stumbled upon a shunned pyramid in the jungle where a strange voice spoke to him and led him to the bottom of the pyramid where a strange copper medallion offered him the power of the Vase of Ash. The strange artifact has the power to sway weak minds and to create undead minions by spreading the fine ash within corpses. So, very cool. Got to deal with this ash artifact or magic item, I guess, in here, and you've got some cool artwork. It's a level 5 adventure. It's a one-shot. You can see the maps in here, really gorgeous as usual. Elven Tower always has awesome maps and is really cleanly laid out, easy to read. So I think, even just for the maps, $1.45. That's just a really low price to get all this stuff with it. And you get a printer-friendly version. You get high-res and Roll20 or VTT-friendly maps as well. So always cool. So looking inside, you can see how the adventure is set up here. And then you've got, so you've got the primer, the boiling cauldron, the pyramid of dust, and then the conclusion. So pretty cool one-shot. How to get things going, setting things up with their hooks, and then you've got all the different points of interest as you scroll through, and then you get to the pyramid of dust, and this is really cool. This is a pyramid map. I really believe this is what would be inside of a pyramid, right? Because the way it's shaped, four-sided pyramid could totally have these as its maps. So very, very fun, and for $1.45, you're getting these maps. So even if you don't use the adventure that comes with it, you're going to have these pyramid maps that you can then use to invent your own adventure, which could be really, really fun, because who doesn't love pyramids? So yeah, let's read about the Vase of Dust here. It's a wondrous item, legendary, requires attunement It's older than most human civilizations that belong to the trollish Fey entity trapped within the copper disc. The Fey troll's name is 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤. Its existence is lost to time, even more in the material plane, because 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤 traces its origin to the woodlands. For crimes committed against the Archfey courts in the woodlands, 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤 was condemned to an eternity of captivity within a magical medallion. The copper disc was then hidden in a jungle in the material plane. Eons later, it became the object of worship of naive human tribes that knew nothing about its real origin. Twice per day as an action, the user can throw ash from the vase at one creature. The creature becomes charmed and obeys the user's orders if it fails to save. And it repeats the save once per day. Reanimating ash, twice per day as an action, the user can throw ash from the vase at one dead creature. It rises as an undead abomination at 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤's service. So really cool. And just tons of great maps in here for you to use inside this adventure and out in your own things, which I really, really love. So we'll just read one more adventure hook and then we'll move on to the next title. But I think this price, $1.45 for so much stuff is huge. So definitely take advantage of that. Get this, because you never know when you'll need it for $1.45. I mean, what can you buy for $1.45? Like almost nothing these days, especially with inflation. So buy this, have it on hand, and then you can use the maps when you need it, or a one-shot. So zealous brigands in the company of undead monsters ravage the land, causing the peasants to abandon their homes. Rumor has it that a priest-like figure spreads ashes from a vase to raise more undead. The characters come into this in any variety of the following ways. So the first one is the characters are summoned to the city by the jungle's outskirts, the largest settlement the undead might reach, and they are sent to the bullying cauldron where Constable Perkins gets ready to fight back. Or alternatively, the characters search for an artifact called the Vase of Dust. Careful research has led them to an ancient pyramid in the jungle that the locals shun. The legend has it that the Vase of Dust has the ultimate power to restore a person to life. And that's just 2. They give you 3 options to incorporate the characters into this. As usual, very thorough and complete from Elven Tower. So check it out under Order of Grey Dust. Give it a click. Next, we got Undead Monsters, which is already a best copper seller in its first week, from Marco Giulio Fossati and Marco Bertini and Sign of the Dragon. It's $4.95 for 28 pages, and it introduces a bunch of new undead monsters. They can be from previous editions or brand new, and you get 21 new monsters. So looking at this beautiful artwork, really fun stuff from Zombie Lords and Blazing Bones. You've got CR4, 6, just from the 2 that we saw there. So let's look inside. So you've got everything from a Bane Dead all the way to the mini-eyed zombie. And then you've got something called Blazing Bones right off the bat, and then Zombie Lightning and Zombie Lord in these samples. So it looks like a variety of stat blocks, CRs, which is nice. So it says a Blazing Bones appears as a human skeleton with a nimbus of flames dancing along its shoulders and small balls of flames encircling its hands. Blazing Bones is an undead accidentally created when a spellcaster is killed by a spell that causes fire damage. Sometimes the casted magic twists and the unfortunate victim passes into undeath in the heart of a roaring column of fire. Then the victim's nature changes, becoming utterly evil due to the pain of the fire. Blazing Bones is tormented by the endless agony of fire. Hurling flame lessens the pain momentarily, and pouring fire into another living being reduces it considerably. So Blazing Bones soon become stalking killers, exulting in fiery destruction. And I think that's really cool that there's meaning to the fire on these Blazing Bones. Like if they do certain things, then their pain is lessened. So you can totally work that into your stories and your adventures. And it's got several, options for attacks here with a melee and a ranged. But then on the bonus action, it's got a column of fire, recharges 5 to 6. The Blazing Bones creates a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder centered on it. Each creature in that area must make a dex saving throw or take fire damage on a failed save, and half as much on a successful one. So really cool. Then you got a lightning zombie with an electrical discharge. You've got a zombie lord with the zombie's rally feature under bonus actions and a redirect attack. So this is kind of like a commander for the zombie. Very, very cool. Yeah, if you like undead, you want some more creatures that are undead to unleash upon your players and mix it up instead of the same old vampire and zombie stuff, or maybe you just need like even some commanders. I mean, $4.95 to get so many. I mean, 21 monsters for $4.95. I mean, that's a good chunk of monsters. So check it out. It's under Undead Monsters in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Untold Subclasses, Path of the Hooligan. Options for odd characters or unexpected NPCs from Keith Hiscox. It's $1.95 for 6 pages, and you get the urban barbarian path, the Hooligan, 3 new optional feats, and a stat block for a young Hooligan. So it says not all barbarians are at the gates. In some cities, an uncultured hooligan underclass roams in the night, partying, brawling, and destroying the property of their more refined compatriots. For these urban barbarians, tribal loyalties are formed not by blood, but by the bonds of shared experience. This urban barbarian archetype is intended to be used in conjunction with the barbarian class as presented in the PHB or alongside other options from Tasha's. It is envisaged as an archetype for city-based campaigns or settings where the social strata within a civilization is rigid enough to provide violent unrest, or the immediate ruling class ride the peasantry hard enough for slights to be felt and grudges to be allowed to fester. So very cool. So you've got the different features, which you're getting to see 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 14th, and then it goes into the optional feats. So for the 3rd level feature, it says, because you view property as a theft by the more wealthy, you are able to maintain your rage by attacking objects and structures as well as creatures. In addition, when raging, you automatically deal crit damage to objects that are not being worn or carried. And then 6th level, when within 10 feet of allies with whom you feel a shared bond, you gain +1 to damage rolls per conscious ally within range. In addition, you may use your bonus action to shout encouragement to an ally within this feature's range who does not themselves benefit from this feature. Your ally gains the same damage bonus as you do to be used on their next melee damage roll against their current target. And that's just the 3rd and 6th. We'll let you come here and read the 10th and 14th. But we'll look, you got the CR6 sample Hooligan, but let's take a look at some of these feats here. So you've got Reactionary Rage. When struck, you are prone to flashes of anger once per long rest. You may choose as a reaction taken when you suffer damage from a melee attack to enter short-lived rage-like state and immediately make a single melee attack against your opponent. So you have advantage on strength checks, strength saving throws. When you make a melee weapon attack using strength, you gain a +1 bonus to the damage roll. You have resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And if you are able to cast spells, you can't cast them or concentrate on them. So while you're dealing with this, it says it's until the end of your next turn. So it's not always that you can't do spells. And then you got another one called Keep Mum, +1 wisdom. You have advantage to ability checks made to resist torture, intimidation, or interrogation. In addition, if you suffer damage as a result of torture or interrogation, you gain temporary hit points equal to half the amount of actual hit points lost as a result of that damage. So very cool. Keith always does some interesting stuff with the creations in Keith's books, so I think it's really cool, and I like to see it. So you should check it out as well, read a little more, see what those higher level features are by giving a click on the link called Untold Subclasses, Path of the Hooligan, and check it out. Well, that's our last DM's Guild title. We're going to move on to DriveThruRPG, but before we do, consider purchasing our latest book, Swarms of the Multiverse, over 180 pages of goodness, including tons of new creatures, 70 of them, as well as their swarm counterparts, whether they summon swarms, command swarms, whatever their connection to swarms is, you get that. So it's not just swarms, it's the individual creatures, which are brand new. They're not reskins. We went to great pains to make sure all 70 of the creatures are very original and unique. And the swarms are a little different from their originals. They're not always predictable. And we teach you how to make your own swarms with it. And we've got optional features, additional things like magic items, brand new demi-planes, etc. So it's a really fun book I think you should check out, and it's linked below, along with our other books like Feywild Companion, over 150 pages of Feywild goodness, including subclasses, spells, magic items, adventures, encounters, monsters, all waiting for you in print or digital. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages in print or digital, and it's got everything you could ever want for potions, including brand new potions, including a short story on the origin of each one, vendors for the potions, how do the potions smell, how do they taste, optional rules for potions, plants that you can use to craft the potions or just experience as you go through the world, and fully stocked NPC vendors and locations, including VTT maps. And we've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which gives you dragon-themed subclasses for every single class, a brand new familiar, dragon-themed trinkets, horde magic items, just tons and tons of dragon fun stuff. And then you've got Secrets of the Draugr, which is a combination of the Drow and Duergar as a brand new race with NPCs, deities, fortune-telling method, all kinds of good stuff to incorporate if you want to have a new race that's kind of like the Drow, kind of like the Duergar, but then it's its own thing. And then you've got Van Richten's Libram of Lineages, which gives you 4 conflict-driven lineages that you can use in any campaign, along with rules to chain those lineages together, so you can have a character go from Dhampir to Hexblood, or vice versa. However you want to work it, these lineages can be strung together. It also talks about how would you go about removing a lineage. Maybe you have a player that got sick of a lineage and wants to go back to its original race. You'll have that option. So really, really helpful, and those are all linked below. Also, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, share it with your friends so that people can find these great titles we've talked about this week. And if you can, please click the links below and support all of these creators. And if you do any little bit of shopping by clicking those links, you're going to support the channel, because every purchase you make, whether we covered it in our video or not, after clicking those links is going to give us a little bit through the affiliate program. So we appreciate that support as well. And yeah, stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming for you in this episode, as well as each week on our Splinterverse Media channel. So make sure you are following us everywhere so you can get those discounts and that free content we release throughout the weekdays to make your work week a little bit more fun. All right, now let's move on to DriveThruRPG. First up, we have Abazion, Manipulator, Demagogue, and Rabble-Rouser from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧 and Cliff Dunn. It's $1 for 26 pages. This is the Rabble-Rouser, political provocateur, and demagogue. Abazion is a genius at whipping up a mob, an expert at infighting, scapegoating, fear-mongering, spinning, and coming across with a folksy touch. Abazion knows how a crowd loves to be riled up, and he loves doing the riling. Chaos is his mistress, anger and fear his favorite weapons. He is happy to employ them all in service to his patron's shadowy agenda, and he wants to build a wall. So you have a brief history, of course, of the free city of Edishar and the mega continent of Zul with this book, because 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧 has been doing the drip release strategy of releasing a new title each week to get you familiar with this setting. And then, of course, you get deep backstory and character descriptions from Abazion and his loyal minions, the Rock Throwers. You also get information on Abazion's main political opponent, information about his rising faction, faction goals, desires, and methods, and then NPC stat blocks, adventure hooks, etc. All for the low price of $1. And you've got the TOC here showing you what awaits you inside. So you get that introduction to the setting, and you get to see the entire 26 pages. And it goes deep into the background of Abazion. And then you get quite a few pages about it, which is really, really good. I mean, how often do you get this much information about one NPC? And then you've got other characters, like here's a CR2 character in here, and it says preaching to the choir of idiots, and then you've got a character called Tordo for another CR2, and then a CR1 here, another CR2, and then a 𝙭𝙬𝙀, who is a CR4. And then you've got your adventure hooks, etc. So let's read a little of the adventure hooks. So throwing rocks and taking names. The characters, either intentionally or by accident, find themselves in the midst of a spontaneous street riot incited by 𝙭𝙬𝙀 and his supporters among the Rock Throwers gang and the Greys sports faction. It's a free-for-all, although 𝙭𝙬𝙀 is nearly as skilled as talking down a crowd as he is at getting one murderously angry. The target of his antagonism is irrelevant, as is their ability to defend themselves. In fact, 𝙭𝙬𝙀 prefers a drawn-out fight between more or less evenly matched sides to an overt dogpile or slaughter. How the characters conduct themselves may earn them 𝙭𝙬𝙀's admiration, fleeting though it may be, or his hostility. So, cool little hook there. And then we got another one called On the Patrician Secret Service. Avram Bailumur has served as Great Chamberlain of Vadashar, the head of the Free Cities administration, since the patricianate of Prince Kored Delavus began nearly 5 years ago, but he has served in the halls of the Seraglio and the Great Kasbah for over 40 years, in a variety of capacities and for a variety of employers, from kings to merchant princes. Although his expertise is finance and overseeing enormous civic projects, Bailumur is a humble man who has earned every promotion and every trust that was ever placed in him. Contrarily, he is aware that Vadashar is hip deep in self-serving scoundrels, people like 𝙭𝙬𝙀, who see the free city as their personal plaything. From Bailumur's vantage point, the city is somewhat like a rich widow. Most Vadasharans love her as their mother, but 𝙭𝙬𝙀 dreams of betting the old girl. To this end, the Great Chamberlain employs a discreet cadre of agents who serve as his eyes and ears, reporting on goings-on across the city and the Valley of Khalif, and intervening when necessary. Many of these agents are engaged in activities requiring them to set aside their true names and identities and establish new ones, the better to operate unimpeded. The characters may be approached by the Great Chamberlain with an offer to infiltrate 𝙭𝙬𝙀's organizations and learn what plans the Rabble-Rouser and Provocateur has for the coming months. So some fun political intrigue. 𝙭𝙬𝙀 has quite a few cool things going on. Intensify emotions is one of the legendary actions, for example, and focus intent. But as usual with 𝘽𝙬𝙬, you can read the whole book before you give it a purchase, and it's $1 for 26 pages with tons and tons of lore on this character, and giving you those options to incorporate 𝙭𝙬𝙀 either into your homebrew setting, an existing setting that's out there, or this mega continent of Zul, Free City of Vadashar setting that 𝘽𝙬𝙬 has been just trickling the releases out every week or so to help you get up to speed. And it's all 5th edition, so check it out under 𝙭𝙬𝙀 in the links below and give it a click. Next we got Dark Souls, the role-playing game, for 5th edition. So if you're familiar with video games, you've probably heard of Dark Souls. It's renowned for being a very difficult role-playing game on the consoles systems that people mostly play it on, where you die a lot and you're trying to do a lot of things. It's very fun and beautifully made, but you die a lot. So kind of a fun concept, for a game. Steam Forged Games Limited has put this out. It's $24.99 for 410 pages with authors Richard August and Matt Hart and Alex Delaney. And it was originally published July 6th, but this is an updated version of the book. And it says, "So it is, Ash seeketh embers, experience Dark Souls like never before in this complete tabletop role-playing game of adventure, horror, and tactical combat. Inside these pages is everything you need to run thrilling role-playing campaigns set in the ruinous Dark Souls universe. Like the video games, Dark Souls is designed to be punishing but rewarding, and it delights hardcore fans and role players alike. Few obstacles are easily overcome. Every enemy is a challenge. Progress is hard won. You'll die many times over. You'll also rise again with the death and rebirth mechanics based on the video game's unique system that rewards willpower and perseverance. You're not alone. as well as fellow role players. A host of familiar faces stand ready to assist you engage in jolly cooperation to vanquish your foes. It says, explore a land of shadows and flame where hollows, demons, and abyssal creatures abound. Open up the crumbling world of exploration with the Dark Souls role-playing game core book. So it's 5th edition, so you already have kind of the rules behind it, but then, of course, they have their own death and rebirth mechanics, and then other things. And so looking inside, you see already it says you died, which is the familiar phrase from the video game. You got your table of contents. It's a 400 and some page book, right? So it's got a lot of stuff about character generation, the different classes, including some new ones like knight, mercenary, assassin, etc. And then you've got the core rules with ability scores, the same that you're used to from 5th edition, and then magic and miracles, spells, miracles, sorceries, equipment, the world of Lothric, monsters and antagonists, kindling the flame. So like everything you need. It's not, you don't need the player's book and a monster manual and a DM's book. It's all in one, which is really helpful. And you don't get to see a ton of pages in the preview. That's okay. We can read the introduction at least. It says, the world is occluded, choked with fog and darkness. The men and women around you, empty husks of what were once breathing, laughing human beings. The gods who gave fire to the world merely demiurges, their hubris bringing down the most terrible of afflictions on those lacking their power. And with the hideous inevitability that life follows death, uglier and more powerful things lumber out of the shadows, lusting after souls, flesh, warmth, anything to ease their existence. Welcome to Dark Souls, a role-playing game. Based on the best-selling video game franchise, this book contains everything you need to play. And then it gives you, of course, more intro stuff here. But, I mean, it looks cool. The artwork is beautiful. Sounds like there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it'd be interesting to just to see the classes, because they have knights, mercenaries, assassins, warriors, thieves, heralds, clerics, sorcerers, pyromancers, and the deprived. And just the whole world of Lothric is, quite a few pages on its own. You've got demons, golems, constructs, undead, bosses. So this is going to be a lot of interesting stuff for people that like this game. Even if you just want to take parts of it and make your own Dark Souls version of the game, or even if you want to just take the death and rebirth mechanics and apply that to your homebrew where you have characters come back to life. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of things to discover in here. Maybe this is a gateway to get people to play the game. Maybe you have a brother, a cousin, a friend, a neighbor who's like, I don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but they play Dark Souls all day long, right? So then you get this and you create a Dark Souls campaign, and then you get them involved, and this is their gateway to playing more D&D. So very, very cool. Check it out in the links below under Dark Souls and give it a click. Next we got Dossier Deck. Commoners NPC creation cards from Skeleton Key Games, $9.99 for this product, and it is fast and fun way to generate detailed NPCs for role-playing games. The 51 card deck is a standalone accessory capable of producing over 4,000 combinations and can be combined with other Dossier decks for even more options. Simply draw 3 cards to create a new NPC featuring an image, traits, and a story hook. So that's cool. You can combine this with other Dossier decks and have even more options. They did release another one this week, but we only ever cover one title per creator per week, just to be fair. But this is system neutral, so whether you playing Dungeons and Dragons, OSR, some other game, you can use this to create characters, because the mechanics aren't really here. It's more about the story. So just reading this example they have here, it's Huckle Riverstone. This elderly halfling wears farmer's clothes and has a missing tooth. And you can see in the picture, and it says, trusty sidekick, this character is eager to please any newcomers to town. They will drop whatever they are doing to shower perfect strangers with praise and attention in the hopes of joining them on whatever adventures they may undertake, no matter the danger. Trapped in a well, regardless of how improbable it may be, this character constantly finds themselves in dangerous situations that require them to be rescued. And then change of scenery. Recently caught in a thunderstorm, this character took shelter beneath a runic cairn. They swear that as the rain came down, the land around them changed from a field to tropical hills. The change lasted several minutes before flashing lightning restored the familiar rural field. So what a fun little character. I mean, cool name. Trips and falls into all sorts of things that could lead to adventure, including this cairn that has some interesting environment changing properties going on. Don't know why, but you could invent all of that as a crafty DM. And it's really cool that it's system neutral, that you can work with other decks to combine these together and have even more options. So check it out. It's under Dossier Deck Commoners in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Esper's Emporium of Esoterica by Esper the Bard. It's $20 for 350 pages, and the author is Esper. This is a wondrous tome of 5th edition options for players and GMs spanning a huge 350 pages, each one brimming with adventure, fueling inspiration. It's got a new character class called the Paragon, a fated soul from the pages of myth. It's got options for the barbarian, cleric, fighter, monk, and warlock, Icarite and swamp dwarf races, feats, spells, magic items, cursed and flawed items, magic shops, including a simple commerce mechanic, shopkeeper, shop stats, and plot hooks, GM advice, arena combat, traps and hazards, skill encounters, and over 170 new monsters and NPCs such as Astral Dragon, Adamantine Golem, Cinder Hag, etc. So quite a bag of things. So this is a grab and go supplement where you can just pick and choose pieces that you want to use for your setting, whether it's an established setting or a homebrew one. 350 pages of options. There's also a video down here that you can watch that gives you a little preview of it. So fun artwork, and then we get right into the Paragon. So it says Paragons are fated souls, individuals whose destinies line the pages of history and myth. They are persons of influence and resourcefulness, of craft and extraordinary talent. Some Paragons have divine blood in their veins, others are born under auspicious stars, and others still have come upon their power through mystical guides or treks to wondrous locations. So very cool stuff. And they're spellcasters, and it says fortune favors your exploits during crucial moments. When you make an ability check, saving throw, or attack roll, you can use a hand of fate to gain advantage. You can do so only during combat or other situations of immediate danger, and you must declare this choice before making your roll. Once you use a hand of fate, you must complete a short or long rest to regain its use. And then it shows you how many wonders are known, it looks like. So beginning at first level, you choose a Paragon myth, myth of the hero, myth of the trickster, myth of the sovereign. The myths are detailed in the following section, so that's your subclass. Serendipitous encounter, you tend to come across individuals who aid you at crucial moments throughout your journeys. That's awesome, because that ties into what you would expect a protagonist in a story to have, which is kind of what a Paragon is like the star of the show. So the NPC can give information or clues helpful to your current situation. You can make an ability check with a +8 bonus, or cast one spell of 2nd level or lower, gives you a helpful item, etc. What it says, while you typically choose when the serendipitous encounter occurs, the GM may opt for the NPC to appear at a more opportune moment. Once you use it, you have to gain another level of Paragon before you can use it again. So I also like that. That's cool that it's connected to your Paragon levels. And then you got ability score increases, and it says Wondercraft. Paragons use their talents and stratagems to overcome all manner of challenges. Their wonders are part extraordinary skill and part supernatural force. Wonders are detailed at the end of the class description. At 2nd level, you learn 2 wonders. You learn an additional wonder at these various levels. So kind of like other classes that give you a boon or other things, right? So you get proficiencies, extra attack, mythic weapon. At 20th level, demigod. It says your might and illustriousness reach the threshold of divine. Choose 3 of the following benefits. So lots of benefits there to choose from. And then you've got the myth, which is your subclass. So really fun options. And then let's just read a little bit about the wonders here. With wonders, you can create a variety of different effects, from cunning maneuvers to rushes of magic. The rules governing wonders are as follow. In order to learn and use a wonder, you must meet its prerequisites. You cannot affect a target with multiple wonders on a single attack, and if a wonder's effect depends on the target's CR and the target does not have a CR, it uses level. And there's some other rules, but you can see like some of the different names here of the wonders. You've got Battle Leader, Buy Time, Cat's Claw, etc. So it's kind of like a little feed or whatever that you get, but these are special to the Paragon. So I think this is really cool. And I mean, we just looked at the class options. I'm not even the full all the other classes, because there's options for Barbarian, Cleric, Fighter, Monk, and Warlock. We just looked at the Paragon and the options, and those were fun. And well laid out here. So there's 350 pages of stuff waiting for you in this book for $20. So I'm sure you'll find some stuff you can use or that you can adapt. So I think you should check it out under Esper's Emporium of Esoterica in the links below and give it a click. Next we have something that I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce. It's called Hic Sunt Myrmeleones. Through the Thin Desert. It's by Less Than Likely. It is $1 suggested price for 32 pages, and it has a suggested price, so you can pay something else, but definitely recommend paying something. It says the twin canals mirror each other so closely that astronomers on Earth have mistaken the doubling for an optical illusion. Where Thoth curves, Nepthunes follow, and midway between the two, their little sibling, the Thin Desert, where verdure can no longer reach. A pseudo-canal of dunes, hills, ruined palaces, caravans cling to the imperial roads when crossing the desert. For bands of jackals and godforsaken kings, or godforsaken things, stalk the empty mansions and petrified forests, and a single night suffices to get eaten, waylaid, or driven mad. So it's a pocket bestiary with monsters of the Thin Desert, random tables of caravans, spells, and a class called the Cinnamon Hunter. It says it should work. Even though it doesn't say specifically the edition, it says OSR. It said it should work with any level-based adventure games in the classic tradition, and most entries are adaptable to the Weird Deserts settings. So looking inside, you can see they've got lots of fun stuff like the ant lion. So it tells you what their HD is and their AC number, their attacks, the special, and then their lair. What is it doing? Rumors about it, and then etc. And a lot of them have the rumors and the lair and magic items and stuff. So that's nice. That it's not just these basic stats for your OSR game. You've got more than that. You've got list of things like impermissible vices. So this is for the Melichicilix. So the virtuous serpent, the dried up tear duct of Aryan morality, scourges of the vices of yesteryear, a product of pious eras. The Melichicilix, I can't say that. Melichicilix, I don't know, were soon driven out into the wilderness by those who still had an appetite for life. Their descendants slither through this desert sand, turning those found wanting into pillars of salt. You got its stats here with the judging gaze, where it requires eye contact. So it's going to do some basilisk style stuff. And it's got a lair, ruined temples, derelict lyceums, active places of worship. 1 in 4 that are there are alkalites devoted to the serpent. And then you've got impermissible vices. So furtive avarice, carrying more than 200 GP out of sight. Petty violence outside of sport, duel, or war. Insurgent heart, speaking ill of the emperor, etc. So these would be maybe some crimes that the acolytes would get after you for. And then it says, what is this creature doing? Always looking to strike up conversation in hopes of catching sinners in the act, not above provoking or facilitating vice. So it could be bemoaning the contemporary state of morals attended to by penitents half turned to salt. It could be molting. It could be partners with the salt merchant, posing as a desperate victim. It could be teaching hatchlings proper doctrine, etc. So there's just some fun stuff going on in this book. I mean, it's these weird creatures that you can use pretty much in any setting if you can convert OSR stats. So I like it. I think it's really fun. I can't pronounce it very well, but it is Hic Sunt Myrmeleones in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Sleepless and Scaresnick. Skarsnik by Lunch Break Heroes. It's $2.99 on sale, and it is 19 pages. And it says the residents of the remote mining town of Skarsnik are no strangers to long hours and working late into the night to ship gems and ore to meet deadlines. But over the past week, everyone in town has been staying up for a different reason. Recurring nightmares, work has slowed, and guard patrols are nearly non-existent as everyone battles exhaustion and madness. Unbeknownst to anyone, a coven of male dream hags has been causing recurring nightmares in order to harvest them and place them in crystals in the nearby mine. The male hags have created a small army of living nightmares from the townsfolk's deepest fears. These dark creatures now infest the mine and sneak into town to cause mayhem and turn the townsfolk against a group of kindly warlocks who live in the nearby woods. So very cool. So let's look inside. I like the concept behind it. Got some adventure hooks. Welcome to Skarsnik. The guild hall, etc. Henrietta's elixirs. So let's read one of the flavor text boxes here. Thin Mountain Inn. Guests and patrons sit in silence around the flickering embers of a fire in a stone hearth. A woman holding her head in her hands leans against the bar beside piles of dirty tankards, bowls, and spoons. Flies bug hungrily around the filth in a black cloud. The woman looks up as you approach and gives you a tired smile. So that's how you meet Gloria Tweed here in the Thin Mountain Inn. So adventure hooks, it says use one of the following to pull the characters into the adventure. You arrive as a guard of a merchant caravan and quickly notice something is awry when other caravans outside refuse to enter the town or for fear of a curse. Or you just happen to stop by Skarsnik on your travels, hoping for a bite to eat and a bed to lay in, but things don't go according to plan when something dark begins to stalk you through the streets. So I think this could be really fun with the different dream hags involved, and it's for 4 to 6 5th to 6th level characters. So if you're looking for something different, looking for a town that you might even be able to reuse, only for $2.99. I mean, this is a pretty good price. So check it out under Sleepless in Skarsnik in the links below and give it a click. Next, we got The Stolen Child from Kelfessel's Tales, and it is a adventure against goblins in a race to recover a stolen child. And it's a 3-part adventure, so could be really fun. Average party level 4 to 6. And it comes with maps. You can see all the different maps and tokens down here that come with it. Always helpful. Kelfessel usually gives you those, which is great. And so you've got your 3 acts plus prologue, epilogue, and your appendix for the stat blocks. So it says the lands of the Fae are home to many hags. Some of them prefer to be left alone, but most insist on tampering with the lives of others, both in their own plane and in the material plane. Mercia belongs to the latter category. A green hag, she has often sought out ways to interfere with the lives of mortals for her own gain and amusement. As such, she jumped at the chance to help 𝙁𝙗. According to her deal with the Archfey, Mercia gave him Isla, the stolen child, and 𝙁𝙗 gave her 3 seeds of growth, powerful artifacts that could be used to rapidly accelerate the rate at which plants in an area grow. Of course, Mercia didn't want the seeds just to grow trees. Instead, she corrupted them and planted them in 3 separate places where the corruption soon spread not only to the nearby plants, but also to the animals. This way, Mercia plans to create her own small domain in the lands of the Fae, where she will rule over the corrupted flora and fauna that she has created. Unfortunately for Mercia, or perhaps for the players, the portal the players are about to step through leads directly to her domain. So interesting. You're dealing with this hag trying to create her own domain. You've got these deals with the children, or with the child that seem problematic for sure. But it's really cool the way they've spelled out the different creatures here too. So you've got Mercia the hag section here, and then you've got a unique phrase, "You'll make great servants." Is one of those, or a desire to have her own domain, and her fear is losing power, and misbelief is that Mercia's reliance on only herself means that she can't always plan for every contingency. So you can see the really nice maps in here that you get to use along with this fun adventure. So as usual, tons of good stuff in the products from Kelfessel's, including this one, The Stolen Child. So look for it in the links below and give it a click. Next, we got Tessa's Guide to Pickpocketing and Pilfering. Over 1,000 mundane and magical artifacts at a 5-finger discount. So this is for Dungeons and Dragons. It doesn't say 5th edition over here on the checklist on the side, but it does say it here. So so that's good. It says it was originally created for Kickstarter, but it's basically a list of things that can be stolen from characters in the game. Most of them are small, low-cost items designed to be stolen without throwing off the balance of your game. It also provides a degree of diversity for pilferable objects based on location. So there's 10 D100 charts and several D20 sub-area charts. So there's an iron ring or a pouch of tobacco. And then there's ceremonial burial dagger or a fireproof spell scroll case, etc. So if you have a character that's like a thief or does something, you know, along the lines of a thief, you can basically give it something to steal, you know, without wrecking your game. You don't want to, you don't want to have it steal a legendary item, right? You need to have some sort of control. And with these tables, you can see them here. There's a lot of options: the Outlands, the Monastery, the City. The authors are giving you themed items for those areas so that it makes sense that these things would be pickpocketed or however they're stolen, right? So you can see here, this is a village section, and it says the cut purse, you know, what you would get in terms of currency. But then here you've got this whole chart, D100, everything from a rake to a flute to a frying pan to a holy symbol, dream catcher, winter hat, whatever. You could have it pickpocketed or stolen by, you know, any kind of rogue or whatever character you want to have doing this. Even an NPC picking stuff out of it, or if you just need random stuff to have in a dungeon room, or random stuff on a shelf. Your players are gonna say, well, what's over there? What do I see when I look at this? Or, right, you can roll on these and say, oh, well, you see a gallon of mead and a dagger with an engraved name on it, and you're done. So, and it covers a lot of areas, including a monastery or a library. So those alone are going to be very helpful. So $12 for 98 pages, and seems like a lot of fun stuff in it. So check it out under Tessa's Guide to Pickpocketing and Pilfering in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Tome of Heroes by Kelly Pollack, Ben McFarlane, and Brian Susskind for Kobold Press, $29.99 for 320 pages. And it contains a vast array of tested original options to create unique characters. So you get 70 new subclasses, including Circle of Bees, Way of the Unerring, Arrow, Path of Hellfire, School of Black Powder, and the Pugilist. More than 20 new races and sub-races, over a dozen new backgrounds, including Diplomat, Freebooter, etc. A shop's worth of equipment such as firearms, chakrams, glide cloaks, etc. New ways of using magic, from manipulating magical plants to drawing draconic runes, and over 50 new spells, including Fuse Armor, Conjure Fireflies, etc. There's just so much to behold in this book. Kobold Press usually does really fun stuff, and a lot of people buy all the Kobold Press books. I have quite a few of them myself. They're just really fun, always enjoyable to read, and you can see here even the table of contents is beautiful. They got imagery to go with it. You got all your races from the 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬 to the Shade, class options for everything from barbarian to wizard, and you've got your backgrounds, adventuring gear, adventuring rules, magic and spells, magic items, etc. And then it goes through all the playtesters, because they have a lot of playtesters for this stuff. And then you get into the races like the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙧 and the Catfolk. So let's read a little bit about the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙧 here. So they are graceful woodland cousins to centaurs, blending the torsos of elves with the lower bodies of nimble deer. Because they rarely venture far from their wooded glades, some call them grove nymphs, although they're more closely related to elves than nymphs. And so let's look down here at some of their abilities, and you've got information on their names as well. I always like when that's included. Sometimes it can be hard to brainstorm a name right for a new race, so it's nice that Kobold Press is doing that here, including those for you. So you've got dark vision if you are an all-seed. You've got weapon training where you have proficiency with spears and short bows. You have proficiency in the stealth skill with your light hooves. Since you are a quadruped, the mundane details of the structures of humanoids can present considerable obstacles for you. You have to squeeze when moving through trapdoors, manholes, and other similar structures, even when a medium humanoid wouldn't have to squeeze. In addition, ladders, stairs, and similar structures are difficult terrain for you. So that helps you portray that, you've got a body that looks like this deer character, half deer character here, as opposed to something else. Wood Friend, when in a forest, you leave no tracks and can automatically discern true north. You speak, read, and write Common and Elvish. So really fun, beautiful artwork. As usual, the layout and the artwork with Kobold Press is just, you can just count on it being beautiful. So even if you just like beautiful looking things and want to flip through and get inspiration, this could be a really fun book. But it is packed. 70 subclasses, 20 races, backgrounds, equipment, new ways to use magic, 50 new spells. Just tons of stuff. And others are going to be getting this because it's from Kobold Press, so you might as well get it as well, so you know what they're talking about, and so that you have all this information at hand to use for your players and for your characters. And remember, with player options like this, if you're a DM, these aren't just good for players. You can use them for NPCs. Especially if you ever see a subclass that you don't want to allow your players to have, why not use it for a villain or an NPC? So don't limit yourself in the way you think about this. You gotta grab the Tome of Heroes to go along with all the other awesome books in your collection. So check it out. It's under Tome of Heroes in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have TS number 1, The Inn in the Forest, which is a level 1 to 2 Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure, also OSR. And it says, evil lurks at the crossroads. The slumbering forest god has awoken, seeking to return the world to before the age of dwarf, elf, and man. Blood sacrifices are demanded, and those foolish enough to travel the forest roads and seek shelter within the seemingly abandoned inn are easy prey. Only the brave or foolhardy have a chance to stop the innkeeper and his family as they stalk the players across the past, present, and future, unlocking the bloody history of the inn in the forest along the way, including 28 new creatures, 12 pre-gen characters, 11 magic items, 5 pieces of equipment, 3 spells, 3 rituals, a patron, and new phantom shift rules for time travel. And you can see it's really cool looking. I love the look of this book, and there's a little video down here you can watch as well. And just this artwork here, it reminds me a lot of a lot of old school comic books or Mad Magazine or something. It's just really cute the way the art is, and I just love it. And that's just the map right at the beginning when you open this, and then you've got a lot more information in here. And I should mention, even though this is from Trusty Sword, the author is Daniel J. Bishop. And then here you've got your table of contents. So this is 64 pages, so there's quite a lot going on with your adventure, dealing with the random shifts through time, and then the maps and named locations, and then you have a whole bestiary and magic items, rituals, pre-gen characters. Just tons of stuff, and look at how beautiful it looks. Just scrolling through, this artwork is so cute with the little pig people. Just lots of fun. So let's read a little bit about the adventure hooks. So Zalbear, the Hexmaster, was last known to be seeking lore about the ancient people who once dwelt in the forest. His rune staff, a potent magic item, disappeared when he did. The spellcaster may be seeking the rune staff or the spell knowledge contained within the wizard's journals. So that's a good adventure hook and how to get you involved. And it's nice that they're naming a magic item as part of the hook, because you could maybe end up having that be part of the inventory of the party. have this rune staff to use. Another option is the PCs may have heard rumors of the innkeeper's dark practices and the hoard of gems and gold from his slave trade that is hidden somewhere on the old inn grounds. So another good option. Also, the family of 𝙤𝙘𝙀𝙀 von Kleinbright is seeking information about what happened to their kinsman and has hired the party to find out. So lots of different options, which I really like. Each one of these hooks is very, very different, but connecting to different parts of the adventure. So that's promising. I mean, you're just getting into this. I think just having this beautiful artwork to look at and all of this stuff in here. I mean, you're getting 28 new creatures. I mean, there's lots of bestiaries out there for $9.99 just to get the 28 new creatures. So to get all that plus this adventure for OSR is really cool. And, crafty DMs can convert this to 5th edition too, probably pretty easily. So check it out. It's under TS number 1, The Inn in the Forest, in the links below, and give it a click. Well, that's our last new title. Let me sneak preview what's going to be on discount next week, and you're not going to want to miss this one. It's Journey of the Spirit Walker from the Aaron Chronicles and Nikos Ostas and George Svordakis and Nicholas Totiev. Great creators. Their work is always so good. Look, it's got 16 ratings, an average of 5 stars, because it is just really well done. I really love what the Aaron Chronicles produces, and this particular book is so fun because it deals with spirits, subtypes of spirits, ancestral spirits, all kinds of stuff, new spells, character subclasses, magic items, an intricate system for creation of magic items through spiritual binding. You got 5 outsider spirits, 8 Etherian spirits, 13 ancestral ones, and 11 primal ones. So all different types of spirits, summoning rituals, seances. I mean, it is all here. And look at how stunning the layout is. Just gorgeous. I mean, how can you not want to get involved in this book? And we have a great discount on it coming up for you on Monday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time at Splinterverse, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's going to be there for you. And then, of course, next week in our Friday episode, we will talk about it in more detail. We'll look inside the book, read some of it for you. But you're not going to want to miss this one. It is just an awesome book. It's an Electrum bestseller. It just came out this year. So, I mean, you gotta have it. And why not get it at one of the best prices available? So tune in next week for this, or follow us everywhere and get it early on Monday. Take a break from work and quickly make that purchase, because you don't want to miss out on these. They are limited time, usually about a week you have to take advantage of this Splinterverse discount program. Well, thanks so much for watching. Please consider purchasing one of the wonderful books from our company, Splinterverse Media. They're all listed in the video description links as well as the pinned comment. We've got 6 different options for you. You can also go to splinterverse.com and read all about them, and reach out to us. Let us know what you think, and subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment. I will respond to all of those personally. Share the video out there so people can find out about all these awesome creators. And click those links, support all these creators, purchase their books, give them reviews, follow them on social media. And if you make any purchase, you're going to be helping the channel as well, because we do get a small percentage through that affiliate program. So please support these awesome creators. And if you are a creator, keep going. We want to see what you're doing. You've got this. You can get it done. Each week we're proving that people are getting it done, and you can be someone who does that as well. So keep going. Don't let your adventure stop. You can conquer it. So until next time, happy adventuring.